Good afternoon, I'm Mike Parkhill. I'm the Group Chief Estates and Facilities Officer at Lincolnshire Community Hospital NHS Group. That is really difficult to say. Longest job title and trust name in the world. Great to be here to speak to you. I'm going to run you through our journey and tell you a bit more about the trust and the complexities of our trust and how we went through the process and some of the challenges we faced in coming up with the solution we did. It's been a journey that's been shaped by strategic ambition, technical complexity, and I must say a lot of teamwork. Also, justification the need for this, and if anyone's had to present to Finance Committee, you will know how difficult it is to get some of these things over the line. So people don't always see why we do stuff. So, but overall, it's been about persuasion, persistence and patience, and that's been really important as part of the process. So our work's been supported by the CEF and delivered in partnership with FP Hurley and Sons. Together we've tackled legacy and infrastructure issues, navigated funding and procurement challenges, and developed a programme that not only meets the net zero target but improves our resilience, efficiency and patient experience. So a little bit more about the trust. I did complain about these photographs, they're not the best, but apparently these are what our comms team use. So ULTH, so we are a group and I'll tell you a bit more about that, but ULTH, which is one part of the acute side of the group, serves around about a population of 770,000 across Lincolnshire, which is one of the largest geographical areas in England. Our services are split across three main sites: Lincoln, Boston and Grantham, each with its own infrastructure profile and operational pressures. In April 2024, we adopted a group model with Lincolnshire Community Health Services. And while not a merger, this arrangement allows us to operate under a single board and executive team, aligning our estate strategy across both hospital and community services. And I'm in a very fortunate position where I am actually an executive board member and able to influence the board directly around our future strategic direction with estates facilities. So I've been in that role for around about 18 months now and been with the trust for about 5 years. So what does net zero look like in practice? So for us it's more about than replacing boilers and upgrading windows. It's about embedding sustainability in all our decisions, from capital planning, maintenance, from procurement to patient pathways. It's also about culture, making sure our teams and our partners and our stakeholders understand that sustainability isn't a bolt-on, it's our foundation. So over the next few minutes I'll walk you through our approach, the challenges we face and the outcomes we're delivering, starting with our flagship project at Pilgrim Hospital, Boston. I also hope this sparks ideas, questions and maybe a few collaborations. Because if there's one thing we've learned, it's that no one gets to net zero alone. So, I mentioned a bit about our location, and as you can see from the map, that's where our sites are based. It's a huge footprint. The red dots are our 3 acute sites, and it's worth pausing and reflecting what this actually means and how complex this makes things. Lincolnshire is one of the most geographically dispersed counties in England. We cover a vast area from coastal communities to the east, market town and rural villages to the west. That scale brings unique challenges for estates and facilities management. We're not dealing with a single urban hub, we're managing infrastructure across multiple sites, often separated by long travel times, and it is up to an hour and a half between some of our sites. Very limited public transport and ageing road networks. You may not know Lincolnshire doesn't have any motorways either, so that affects everything from patient access to contractor mobilisation, and it makes it more difficult for us to attract contractors to work with us. So our estate includes community hospitals, health centres, acute sites, outpatient facilities and admin buildings. each with different levels of investment and different legacy systems and different operational pressures. In some areas, we're dealing with buildings that are decades old, with limited insulation and outdated plant. In others, we're trying to integrate modern technologies into environments that weren't designed for them, whether it's air source heat pumps, smart BMS, or renewable energy systems. And of course, the obvious, we have to do this while we're maintaining clinical services, ensuring compliance and keeping all our costs under control. So when we talk about Net Zero journey, it's not just about carbon, it's about navigating complexity, geography and legacy. So, our drivers for change. So why did we decide to do this? So we all know the drivers. So there's obviously the mandated and compulsory standards that we need to follow and commitments. We also wanted to reduce our carbon footprints and reliance on fossil fuels. And Pilgrim actually is a site that still runs on heavy fuel oil. It was also about how we monitor and manage our energy use to try and make those savings, and then also embedding it into our capital project. So we are very fortunate. Aside from this project, we are doing about £80 million worth of estates capital across the trust this year, and it's making sure we embed net zero into all of those projects as well, which of course poses its own problems as well. And then really important for us and the people of Lincolnshire, it's about reducing air pollution and emissions across our estate. So one of the things we found when we first started looking at this was we went for the big bang approach and tried to boil the ocean and do all three acute sites together. It quickly became apparent that was going to be very difficult, and I'll go into how we work with the CEF on making it more bite-sized chunks and how we've ended up with Boston Hospital. But having three large acute sites and trying to do this all at once, it did become apparent really quickly that this was going to be too difficult to get over the line. So, our key aims, obviously reduce energy and water consumption, using renewables. Big one for us is increasing our electrical resilience in Boston site. We are in the midst of a major HV upgrade scheme. Up until about 18 months ago, if you plugged a phone in ED, you'd probably risk tripping the whole site. That's how close our power demands were. So a lot of our switchgear and transformers are 40 years plus end of life. So that was really important for us. Obviously, improving that resilience and then reducing that reliance on fossil fuels. And then, of course, using life cycle to form our strategic needs and our plans. So, the bit you've probably all come to learn a bit about is around our journey. So this slide captures our journey going back to 2023. I am looking at that screen because I can't see that screen at the moment, so it's a bit too small. Going back, so prior to 2023, as I said to you, we tried to look at doing things ourselves. That didn't work. It became apparent we were going to really struggle to deliver this. So we approached the CEF and went through an appointment process with them, and it became really apparent the support and the help that they brought to us, and particularly in our early stages of navigating through the PSDS process. So our first bid, unfortunately, was unsuccessful, but we decided we'd have another go and go again, and we worked up the scheme and where we wanted to be with that more and more. So we had more, for the next time we had more definitive numbers and more definitive outcomes to support the bid. So in July 24 we got awarded 870,000 of Carbon Skills Fund grant, which really helped us push that on and help us develop our plans more. September 24 we run the procurement and identified our preferred supplier, Hurley's, who I've told you about, and then in November last year we did our PSDS 4A grant bids. So we were one of the luckier trusts, I think. We got notified quite early that we were successful with our bid, which really helped us kick the pans on even more. So that was really good, and I'm hopeful Salix colleagues will tell me that was indicative of our bid and how well our bid was constructed between ourselves, Hurley's and CEF. So yeah, that was a journey, very interesting. I learned a lot through that process. It takes a lot longer than you think it does, and actually that isn't a reflection on CEF or Salix. It's also a reflection on the trust and how immature our plans were for net zero. So I'd really, if you haven't done any of this yet, I'd really suggest you get on and start thinking about it, because it does take quite a lot of work. So then we moved into the next complex bit, which was the business case development. I like to think with the securing some of the funding we did, having done the procurement thing, this would have been easier. It actually proved to be quite difficult. So we use obviously all the matrix, all the wonderful matrix of the net zero targets, model hospital, our 6 facet surveys to support that, and then building this into our priorities and our financial constraints. One of the biggest hurdles, as I said, was the business case and getting board sign-off, surprisingly. Strange, the board with a £23 million business case sat in front of them, you'd think it would be really easy to get it over the line, and there was a lot of questions about it and a lot of nervousness around it. It was so different for them. It's not like building a ward or a new building. This is just something that was so different for them again. So we had to do quite a lot of work with the boards, working with our non-execs, our execs, and also our trust chair, who was really supportive and really helpful. We ended up doing a couple of iterations of the paper. We had to do some work on the financial modelling, and eventually, about 3 months ago, we got that over the line, so now it is fully sealed, and we're moving forward with it. We've obviously made real progress. We've now secured the funding. We've finalised the design. We're still finalising the contract with Hurley's, but we're nearly there, and hopefully CEF colleagues will help us get that over the line in the next couple of weeks. And we have obviously started the delivery with the contractor, so with Hurley's. So the slide shows our journey, but each milestone is a story of negotiation, adaptation and determination from all involved. So securing the grant funding was pivotal. Was obviously a pivotal moment for us in our journey. The award came through the CEF, obviously, with support, or came through Salix with support from the CEF. I think you all know about Salix. Really, I would struggle how we would deliver this project without that grant funding, given all the other pressures that we've got. So that's really played a pivotal part in us getting here. The funding model has allowed us to move forward with confidence, knowing that we could deliver significant carbon reductions without compromising our financial sustainability. The application process was rightly very rigorous, requiring detailed energy modelling, life cycle costs and assurance around delivery capability. And I hope that gives some of you assurance if you've not been successful in your bid. It was no pushover, or we really had to work hard to prove the case to Salix. And as I say, that was done in collaboration with the CEF and Hurley's. Another key benefit of this is obviously the backlog maintenance reduction that we've got, and I'll come on to a bit more around that, but also the resilience and improving resilience across our estate, and then enhancing our patient and staff environments. As you all know, ageing buildings, we have trouble regulating temperatures in this, and this will go a long way to improving our patient environments. It's also allowed us to replace our steam infrastructure. So Pilgrim site is on a significant a significant steam site. And again, that poses its own challenges around particularly finding people who are competent and able to maintain steam infrastructure. There's not many steam engineers left out there anymore, so we will be eradicating steam. So not only does the grant unlock the project, it's validated our approach, and it's given us the momentum to deliver a real change. So that's just an overview of the Pilgrim site. It's a complex site, multiple blocks, I think 12 stories in the main tower block, lots of legacy, infrastructure's not too dissimilar to a lot of NHS estates. It's a prime candidate for transformation, and obviously the key focus for this net zero programme. Additionally, we're just in the process of putting a new ED on site, so we've got a huge ED build going on site, and a number of critical infrastructure projects on site as well. And that's the site from above, and a nice old steam energy centre there. So yeah, not a pretty typical site. The energy centre is quite a distance from the main site, through a tunnel network, which, not surprisingly, had its own challenges and has asbestos in there. So we've had to do quite a lot of stripping in there and cleaning, getting it ready for this project, so we're ready to do what we need to do to support that. In the main site, we've got a number of large heat exchangers, and we also, because it's a big tower block, we have a number of really large and old air handling units that are all steam powered. So again, stuff that we're going to have to address as part of this project. That's just a bit of an overview of the site. So it's 10 floors, including plus the basement. Main plant room on the 10th floor. Aluminium frame windows, some double glaze, age mechanical plant. Not dissimilar to a lot of sites, so yeah. So then we'll come on to the backlog risks. So using model hospital, we've obviously got steam boiler dependency, outdated BMS and heating control, high water usage for steam generation, aging ventilation. So not only do these impact the sustainability, but really have an impact, as I said earlier, on operational resilience and patient comfort. So as part of this, you can see as well, we've got some significant critical infrastructure and backlog risks there as well, some big numbers. And we have just redone our 6-facet survey, so we know these numbers are real and in date, so yeah. So as part of this, we're eradicating some of our backlog. Removing the steam boilers will be around about 1.6 million. Removing the steam network, about 1.75 million. Replacement of fans and air handling units, about 875,000. And upgrading heat exchangers, just shy of 1.5 million. These interventions will significantly reduce our backlog, remove our critical infrastructure risks, and improve our system performance. Being an engineer, you've always got to get a photograph of some plant in there, so some lovely boiler plant for you all to admire. Yeah, so most of that will be going as part of the project. And then you've got to get a few clarifiers in there as well, haven't you? So you can see the state of the plant, how old it is, so yeah. Okay, so the key outputs will be full de-steaming of the site, installation of air source heat pumps backed by a smaller LTHW gas boiler and getting rid of HFO, heat recovery on key blocks, refurbishment of windows and walls in some areas, roof insulation upgrades, BMS control improvements, a reduction in our backlog, and overall system improvements. So, thank you for your time today. Our journey at ULTH shows that delivering net zero isn't just about replacing boilers or upgrading systems. It's about strategic alignment, collaboration and persistence, and that is a theme that I would tell you all to bear in mind. With the support of Salix, Hurley's and the CEF, we've turned complex challenges into a deliverable programme, one that improves resilience, removes carbon and enhances the patient environment. I hope what I've shared today sparks ideas and conversations, and if you've got any questions you can ask them now, or if you'd like to connect, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to share any learning, explore collaboration or continue discussion. Thanks again.